Dr. Theresa Bullard, and this is part of a video blog series on the current situation and times that we're in with the COVID-19 situation. And I want to talk to you a bit about fear, because this is so prominent in our world right now, and people are feeling a lot of uncertainty. There's fear around the virus, there's fear around finances, there's all these different fears. And in addition, there's a lot of confusion because there's so many different opinions and perspectives that people are throwing around out there, whether on media or on social media like Facebook and so forth. We have all kinds of different theories and ideas of what's causing this or what's going on behind the scenes. And it can really be confusing, and it can leave a person really not knowing what to think, where to go with it. And it can, it can bring a bit of despair sometimes too, because it all seems so outside of our control and beyond us. But how do we deal with these kinds of situations? When we're bombarded with different opinions, when there's this big unknown in front of us, when we're feeling the fear, how do we deal with that? What is the best way to respond to that? And from my experience, working with the mystery tradition, working with the Kabbalah, working with alchemy, there are two major energies that we need to draw from to support us when it comes to overcoming these fears. And the first is courage. There's the courage of the warrior. There's a bit of this like, you know what, I'm just gonna take these fears on, I'm gonna face them, and I'm gonna go straight for it. Because that fear often seems like a big hurdle. It's like this big looming obstacle that's in front of us. And typically what happens with fear is it's like we shift into our old brain, we shift into that fight, flight, freeze mode. And what we need to do though is we don't want to freeze, we don't want to run away from it, we don't want to get stuck, and we don't really want to fight like from a place of resistance or anger or just rebellion. None of those are the answer. So what we need to do is cultivate the spirit of the warrior inside of us. And by warrior, I don't mean violence or aggression. I mean more like the Bushido way, which is like the samurai, and there was a certain code of conduct that had encouraged discipline, it encouraged honor, it encouraged a certain ability to master ourselves, to harness our power, and to really be willing to go into that battle, but from a place of calm and centeredness and preparedness to just face whatever comes. So when you see a big obstacle in front of you and there's this fear, often what's happening is your mind and the negative ego is making it seem a lot bigger than it really is. And it's this big looming obstacle in front of us. And the only way to really overcome that fear is to face it, is to take it head on and to recognize that you have power, and all you need to do is muster up some courage and go straight for that wall that you see in front of you, or straight for whatever it is you fear, and face it. Like, go into it. Don't avoid it. Don't hide from it. Just go forward. And what is the worst thing that could happen? And then what would you do if that worst thing that happened? Like, what would you do with that? And then what, right? And then what? And you can drill down, because usually underneath the fear, there's just a few key things. There's maybe a fear of annihilation, a fear which is a fear of death. There's a fear of I'm not enough, right? I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy enough, or I'm not strong enough, or something along those lines. Or maybe it's a fear of suffering, a fear of loss, which is again a fear of death. So, our fears really come down to just a few small things. And we need to look them in the eye. Whatever that monster is for us, we need to look it in the eye and realize that it has no power over us unless we choose to give our power to it. Because we are these immense divine beings. We have so much potential. We have so much capacity within us. And we have to just believe and reclaim that power within, so that we can be ready to confront those fears, take on those obstacles, not let them get in our way, not let them stop us. And even if we lost everything, we would eventually be able to, we'd pick ourselves back up. And the true testament of somebody's strength is not whether you fall down or not. It's about whether you keep getting back up again after you've been knocked down. So our strength as humans is really vast. And when we take on a perspective of empowerment, that I'm going to face this fear, I'm not going to let it stop me, I'm going to just keep moving forward despite the fear. Doesn't mean you're not going to feel the fear, but don't let the fear paralyze you. Just take it on, use that energy, that all it is energy, and you can just redirect it and transform it to become a motivation, an excitement, maybe a little nervousness, but you can always, go forward with that. For example, a lot of people have a fear of speaking on stage in front of an audience, and they think that the best speakers in town are the ones who don't have any fear of being in front of an audience. But I got to tell you, that's not true at all. The best speakers, they always feel that a little bit of anxiousness or nervousness or fear coming up just before they get on stage. But what makes them so great is that they've learned to take that little bit of fear or nervousness and transform it and use it as an excitement, as a passion. It's a fire, right? It's an energy of fire, and we can take that and transform it to move forward past the obstacles and really be bigger than life, bigger than our fear. So this is one of the things we need to do, is just learn to just go straight into it. Face what we fear. And what you find is that once you've faced it and you've overcome that fear, you get to the other side of it and you look back, you almost always are going to realize that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And if I can face that fear, then what other fears might I have that I've been allowing to stop me, that I can face them and I can overcome them, and I'll also realize that those weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. So we have huge resources, and often fear and challenges, let's just say any kind of challenge, it's giving us a gift, because it's giving us an opportunity to rise up to the occasion, to step up, to recognize that we have resources and abilities and powers within us that we might not have even tapped into had we not been challenged to step up to the occasion. So when it comes to this time right now, we're all individually feeling it, however, whatever that is getting triggered for you, but we're also collectively feeling it. And I feel that this time on the planet is challenging humanity to step up, to recognize that we have abilities and resources and power within us that as a collective we can harness when we step up, and we can overcome this situation. We can move past these fears and limitations, and we will evolve and transform as a result of what we're going through right now. And that's the alchemy of life. That is the alchemy of this process that we're in right now. So we really want to find those resources within us. Know that you have power. Know that no matter what you face, you can overcome those obstacles, and affirm that, right? Continue to remind yourself of the power within. Remind yourself of your gifts. Remind yourself, like, no, I can do this. Like, I have power, I have knowledge, I have tools, I have all kinds of strategies that I can figure out. We can learn to adapt. And, humanity is super adaptive. And it's when we're in our greatest challenge and when we're in our greatest almost threat for survival or even extinction, that is when we innovate the most. That is when humans have shown to make the biggest breakthroughs. So we're in such a time right now where we are being asked to innovate, to get outside of our box. We're being pushed out of the comfort zone. And yeah, it's natural to feel fear and stress as a result of that, but that's also the energy that we can tap into and redirect to innovate, to adapt, to evolve and transform. So this is an alchemical process. Now, the other piece about this is the unknown, right? There's often on the other side of that obstacle or that hurdle that we think we have to jump over, we don't know what's on the other side, if it's this big wall in front of us that we can't see past our fear. So often what we're fearing is that movement into the unknown. What is on the other side? What's going to happen? What's going to happen when we emerge from this COVID-19 stuff, for example, as a society? What's going to happen? There's so many uncertainties and unknowns right now. But there's some pretty cool things about moving forward into the unknown. First of all, to make that leap into the unknown, to just go ahead and take the leap of moving past the fear, even though you don't know what's on the other side or where you're going to land. That, in addition to the courage and that strength of the warrior, takes a bit of faith. And when I say faith, I mean faith in something that is a higher power than your personality and your ego. That could be faith in the universe. It could be faith that the universe is benevolent and is intelligent, and that there's a divine order or plan that is playing out right now. Even if I don't, from this conscious mind, even if I don't understand that, there is some divine order, and I'm going to trust in that. It could also be faith in your own spirit. It could be faith in, you have this infinite potential within you, and you're gonna tap into it. You're gonna awaken some of it as a result of necessity to overcome the challenge. It can be faith in the divine, in the spiritual realms and angelic or, very spirit energies to support us and to guide us. It can be faith in just yourself. And so don't put the faith outside of you in the sense of we're going to trust our leaders and put the faith in politics and that's all very temporary stuff, and it's not going to be the kind of thing that you can solidly put your faith in. What I'm talking about faith is like, it's something that's beyond this human game, right? It's something greater. And yet it is something that you have direct connection to, and you can cultivate that faith to help you move mountains, right? Faith is the energy that will help us move mountains. Faith is also the energy that helps us to receive, to know that we are worthy of receiving that higher energy, power, potential, support, right? When we have faith in our ability to receive, and faith in who we are, faith in our worthiness, that is when that energy flows in to support us. Faith in the fact that there is any spiritual dimension to life that we can call upon, and then we take the act of calling upon it, then that is what opens the door for us to receive that help in. The other thing about the unknown, though, and this is my final thing for today's video, is that when we move into the unknown, from a quantum physics perspective, the unknown and the uncertainties that are there, what it also means is there's infinite possibility of what we can create as we move forward into the unknown. So in quantum physics, for example, you have a state of being and you have another potential state of being. But in between those two states of being, there's sort of this gap where it sort of disappears and we have no idea where it goes, and then it reappears in this other state of being. But when it's in that transition, in that quantum gap, that is when it goes through this infinite possibility. There's quantum sea of infinite possibility that is accessible there. And it's a big unknown because everything is possible. And when everything is possible, then the other thing about quantum physics is that we have this observer effect. What is it that we are aligning our mindset towards? What is it that we are choosing to experience based on our expectations? And we can observe and manifest the possibility that we choose to align ourselves with, to come into coherence with. So this is how our willingness to move into the unknown can be an exciting adventure rather than something to fear, because that unknown gives us so much possibility of what we choose to create. But in order to create it, you have to align yourself and come to that coherence of mind, body, emotion, spirit, soul, like bring everything into this congruence with, yes, this is what we want to create. So what is your vision for the future of what you want to create in your life as you emerge from this time of reset, right? I've mentioned in previous video blogs that we've been going through a reset, and the first thing is we need to hit that 0 point. And as we hit that 0 point, then we emerge out the other side, and that's the time to create. That's the time to set our intentions and to manifest out of the quantum sea what it is we want to create in our life. So what do you want to create as you emerge from this time of fermentation and isolation and reset, so that you can create the life that you really want to live in the coming months and years? So really tap into that, go into meditation, get in alignment with that light, that higher illumination, that place of faith and strength and courage, and then from there envision into your future.